Welcome to the realest Midwest amateur boxing podcast with Coach Pena. Today we have a guest out of Nebraska. His name is Nick. I met him in Nebraska, and over Nick, about 1 or 2 years we've known each other. Maybe I would say 2 because I've been in a 2-year tournament so far. So probably about 2.5 years we've known each other.
Yeah,
Go ahead and tell him a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Nick Schleich. I'm the assistant head coach at the Sweatbox Boxing Club in Columbus, Nebraska. I'm a level 1 USA boxing official, and I'm the Nebraska LBC president. Just took that office, I think it was beginning of 2024, I believe.
Nice. See, I didn't know that about you, Nick, about being the president of your LBC. That's awesome. I'm also on the board of Iowa for ours, and I'm also on the Silver Glove board as well. Which good luck to all the Silver Glove guys from Iowa who are making that trip to Tulsa, Oklahoma. They just took off this morning. I was supposed to get a list of the boxers' names. I get their names and ages, their weights mixed up, and I didn't get it in time. So I'm just going to say a shout out to all the Iowa Golden Gloves guys heading to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm sure Nick will want to give a shout out to all the Nebraska guys, correct?
Yep, to all the Nebraska guys and girls that are making it to the tournament. Good luck to all of them.
Yes. So today let's talk about national tournament. Now we're on that little subject. Silver Glove Nationals. This year, they added a new group for 17-year-olds because 17-year-olds couldn't fight in Silver Gloves for. I don't remember. That's the new one this year was 17. Cause I don't never remember 17 being Silver Gloves.
I don't.
But I took a long time off between when I fought and getting back at the coaches. I don't know if they were in and out. I know they used to have ABF. They got rid of that. So now they moved it to 16 and 17-year-olds. What did you think about that this year, Nick, at the tournament?
I think it was a good move. I thought those 17-year-olds, they were kind of left in limbo there because 16 was for Silver Gloves and you had to be 18 or older for the Golden Gloves. The 17-year-olds were kind of left out, for that year of their age and development. So I think it's a pretty good thing.
And that's very big because that's about the time where you start losing kids, I think, at 17, 16, and 17 because they start driving, they start meeting these females and all this stuff, and they don't have nothing to look forward to because some people have a hard time getting fights and shows, and they just want to compete in tournaments and win belts as well. The only negative thing I have about that was I thought they could have did a little differently on the age as for the 16-year-old. I think they should have kept it the same as what you are to December 31st, but they had it to what your age was as to I think it was January 31st or somewhere around there. So there's like a little there's a little time frame in there, and the only reason why it came to my attention because I had a kid who was 15 and he turned 16 2 weeks before the nationals, and we all know when the 16 and 17-year-olds fought 3-minute rounds. So not only did he compete in Iowa and in the regionals at 15 against 16 and 17-year-olds, they got rid of his weight class at 138, so he had to move up to 43. And he had to compete against kids that were a lot older than him because he wasn't turning 16 to 2 weeks before the nationals, where I thought he should have got one more year on the 15 level because he was 15. But I think that's where they dropped the ball, just that little time frame in that month. I think they could have kept it the same because he had not only was he fighting older kids, he had to jump up a weight class and he had to go 3-minute rounds for the first time. That's big time for a 15-year-old kid.
Yes.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, if they could, they'd probably have to get a few kinks, worked out. I think it's going in the right direction though with the 17-year-olds involved, but with ages, it is a big jump. 15-year-old just turning 16 to take on kids, close to 2 years older.
Especially just the weight class, because weight classes mean a lot. They mean a lot, even in the amateurs. I think he did well. He took second at regionals. The guy knew. I think they did their research, so they wasn't really. They could have went either way. I thought the guy wasn't there to fight. Just to be honest with you, he was doing more of the moving around, grabbing type of stuff. But it is what it is. We worked on stuff to so that won't happen again with him. I just think the weight moving up that next weight just meant it was just so it was not so much more of an advantage for the other guy. It's just that he was so used to being down at that weight that now he
Yep.
had to move up a weight class, and now his body got to get used to that weight class as competing in it, not walking around. We know a lot of people walk around way heavier than they're supposed to, and then they cut all this weight to get down to fight at a certain weight.
Yes.
What do you have to say about something like that for your
I
boxers?
don't really like fighters cutting weight. They should fight more close to natural weight because I believe those multi-day tournaments, if somebody's cutting weight, it's going to be detrimental to their health trying to keep that weight for that, you know,
A whole week
six,
for the
7 days of fighting.
yes, yes. And let's move this over to the show bout part of it. How very important it is for when a coach confirms a bout with another coach and a promoter, not even a promoter, someone hosting the show. It's very important for like a guy like my kid to get a fight with the guy that's supposed to come down to a weight class, not him jump up a second weight class to fight him, because it's happened to us before. We agreed, the kid was out of Missouri. We agreed that he was supposed to be at 154, and my guy was walking around at 150. He was like 7 pounds over his fighting weight, which is fine because he had like, let's take it because we couldn't find nothing at 43, so we're just going to take that fight. They come in not at 143. They come in at, I want the kid had to be at 160. By the time he got in that ring, he had to be over 160 because he was way bigger than my guy. My kid still fought him as hard as he could, but that was like fighting 2 weight classes above his weight class. So it's very important to some coaches that they need to bring their kids in at that weight they say they're going to be in. What do you think about that?
I believe coaches should watch their fighters' weights a lot more, and whatever weight they agreed upon, bring them in at that weight. If you agree on 154, they don't need to be coming in 156, 157.
Exactly. Because like I said, a lot of these guys, like you said, they cut all this weight to get down here. And then by the time they get back in the ring, they done put all their weight back on. And then that kid who is at his limit of how heavy he's going to be is going to be in a disadvantage because this kid done put all his weight back on over that just at one time going out to eat, getting his food and water and whatever they put into themselves.
Yep, yep.
That's big time because that's messed up. I know about you. I'm sure it happened to you when you're putting on shows. That messes up a lot of show bouts when coaches drop the ball and don't do that. Because now we
Yes, it
have
does.
that little bitty little sheet, not chart that says during show bouts, if you're this weight, you can fight up to this many pounds. I don't like that. I always try to keep my fights within 5 pounds or no more. I like to have them all at the same weight, but you know how that goes in show bouts. That doesn't happen too often. If you can, if you can get a show where, and I've had it before in the past, where everyone comes in on weight, that show's amazing because you have everyone fighting at the same age, around the same age and the same weight, and they're just going at it. Compared to someone supposed to be here and they're over here, up higher, and then that kid's just all over the other kid and just not even a good fight. Or this one too, Nick. I know you got this before. Say novice is very, very, very important to a coach to send me as I'm setting up bouts for a show. Your novice record. I don't want to see, oh, he has 6 fights a novice. I want to know his record. If he's a 6-0 guy and there's another novice guy who's like 1-5, I'm not matching that up. That's not even going to be a good fight. To me, that it never turns out to be a good fight. It's always something. So I try to keep the novice bouts to about the same record, even if they're novice, because you can get a lot of novice mismatch fights as well. And we're trying to keep these novice kids in the gym, matter if they're winning or losing. But if they get in there and they get beat up really bad over a kid who has the same amount of fights, but they have a winning record, that that can shut a kid down or the family. I don't want him to box. He just got beat up. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Even if he had this many fights. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you. The matches make them as even as possible, and I like to get the records from the coaches. I always try to look up the records on a USA Box and see where they stand too. So,
And that's another thing I like too because I get these coaches all the time, even in the open division. they're asking me, "Hey, what's his record?" I'm like, "Dude, your guy's open, his guy's open. You either want the fight or you don't want the fight. I'm not looking them up. You can get on USA Boxing, go look them up, and then let me know if you want the fight, because I get that all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm not looking him up. He's an open guy.
Yes.
You're an open guy. Your guy's open. He's open. Either take the fight or don't take it." So then, before we get off this subject of shows, why don't you let the people know about your show coming up, Buffalo Bill up in Nebraska?
Well, we got Buffalo Bill coming up, Buffalo Bill Brawl coming up, North Platte, Nebraska. It's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Always a pretty good tournament. We're looking at a lot of competitors coming this year, so should be a good go.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, even last year with all the stuff that happened last year, I think it's going to be right this year because the rivals tournament is before yours,
Yes.
and then another tournament is after yours, so they're not on the same weekend. That hurt you last year having the rival on the same day as yours. But you live and you learn on things. Even me as throwing shows, I want to make sure I'm throwing shows where nothing's really going on in the city, because I like to have mine during the afternoon so people can come out and watch fights during the afternoon, and they still have the whole evening to themselves. To any of you Iowa coaches out there, either Illinois, go to this tournament. It's a nice tournament. Nick and the guys run it very well. We've been there 2 years in a row. It's like the streaming is awesome. I haven't heard any bad complaints about streaming. The lighting, it's like you're fighting in a pro show to me. I think without all the smoke and the lights blinking, but he has all the nice lights around the ring, and it's a nice show. Any of you coaches out there, look up a USA Boxing Buffalo Bill tournament. It's in North Platte. Am I right?
Yes,
North Platte.
North Platte. Yep.
North Platte, Nebraska. It's probably, I think it's about 5.5 from Des Moines. So if you know how far you are from Des Moines, just add another 5.5 to that. But it's well worth going to the tournament. It's a good tournament. Every time we go up there, we have a good time. Um, the families just enjoy being around each other, and it's a good show. A lot of good officials up there. Every time I go up there, it's not like, oh, that guy got robbed. It's always a close, and it's supposed to be getting judged right. I think you guys have some really good judges up in Nebraska. Iowa is getting better, I think, but everyone has their own little flaws and stuff. But I never had any complaints up in Nebraska, to be honest with you. Like I said, you either win or you lose. Sometimes you got to
Yes.
go a little harder. Sometimes you don't give it. If they don't give it your all, you're going to get beat. So that's what I tell them all the time. You didn't give it your all, like I knew you can, and maybe that's why you ended up with the loss. Or you need to listen a little bit more. You know how it goes, Nick. You can tell them over and over. They go out and do what you're supposed to do. You look well. Next round, they start getting tired. You tell them what to do. They do what they want to do, and it doesn't go so well. And I always explain that to them after every fight, win or lose. Even when they win, they have some things they done wrong, and you still correct them. So me as a coach, if I don't have kids going back to back to back or back to back, the first thing you do when you get out of that, and they all know it, when you get off those steps and you see the doctor, you turn to me and you give me your passbook. Because if not, they're going to lose it. And then the second thing we do is I pull you off. We talk about your fight real quick. Just a real quick talk, and then we move on to the next boxer. Do you have something you do with yours?
Yeah, we'll talk about the fights afterwards. Usually, after next day in the gym, we'll talk about the fights. I don't get on them right away. I probably should.
I
And
do that because if not, you get parents rushing them. You get everyone wanting to rush them, and I get what I get. It's like a real quick thing, not like a 5 minute. It's like, hey, we need to keep our hands up a little bit more, keep a little bit of movement, stay more active. See your parents. And then
yep,
even the parents start to understand that, and they know, let's let the coach talk to him, get his little talk. Sometimes not even talk. You did amazing, good job. Keep pushing. Give me your book, and you go. It just depends. I had a kid. Matter of fact, it was in Nebraska. He went up there for his first fight, and he won, but he did a lot of mistakes. So I was correcting them afterwards. After we went and sat down, instead of out in before I started taking passbooks from him. This was a while back, and the parents are looking at me like, "Oh, he just won. Yeah, he might have won, but he was doing a lot of bad things in there. He could get beat if the other coaches could have fixed it. Have you ever had parents come up to you and ask you why this, why that, why you telling them like, oh, he won, so I don't care if he won. There's still a lot of things that he messed up on. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yes, I have. The parents, the majority of them ain't people that's been involved with boxing, so they ain't seeing the stuff that us coaches are seeing. Dropping hands, when they're throwing punches, they ain't seeing all the the small stuff that coaches are seeing.
So give me your advice on basic fundamentals in social media, the two combined.
I don't like social media too much when it comes to that because you got all these beginning amateurs that are coming to the gym trying to emulate what they see the pros are doing or the people on social media are doing. My best advice to the beginners is the best defense for them is hands up, chin tucked. Need to be doing anything more than that. Concentrate on that first. When they get in the ring that first 1-2 times, they're gonna forget about majority of the stuff they've been taught and just kind of keep it to the basics to to remind them. Don't try
Basic
to get too.
fundamentals for sure. They got to have their
Yes.
basics down before they even try to pick anything else up. That's what I was trying to tell a parent the other day. 'Cause I've seen his kid doing some different things. I said, I'm not sure what's going on at home, but that's not helping him grow in here because he's not even getting the basic fundamentals down really, pretty much. Um, we need to do basics, stay on the basics. We're not jumping back and forth. I see that a lot. Kids, new kids that come in, you see them. We ask them, "What hand are you?" Okay, so we know what side to get them on. Next, you know, you look over, and this is day one I'm talking about. You see them on the other side. What hand are you? Left or right? Well, I can do both. No, you can't. This is your first day in the boxing gym. You never did any kind of boxing before. How do you know you could do both? And they just look at you like, I said, get back with your power in the back. That's what you're gonna do. I said, I'm not a real big fan of bouncing, jumping back and forth. Stay the way you know how to fight. That way you know how to move. Because once kids get one way, learn how to do stuff one way, and they jump the other way, now you got to learn that whole way and how to move. Now you're jumping back and forth. Now you got to remember how to move. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and now I was talking. I said, I'm from a gym where had a lot of national champions. We had a middleweight champion come out of our gym, Michael second to none. I said, none of these guys jumped back and forth. They were one way and they fought that way. And that's how they did it. They wasn't jumping back and forth. And we don't want that either. So when I see that happening, I try to bite it real quick. That way these kids can learn the fundamentals first. And then we can add on to all the fundamentals. And that's how you get a good fighter.
Yes,
And
it is.
to me, I see a lot of coaches, like I said, the one who asks about the records and stuff. A lot of these amateur coaches are trying to pad their kids' records, to me, to be honest with you. You got to fight kids that are better than you. You got to fight national champions. You got to fight state champions and stuff like that to see where you're at. If you keep fighting them same kids at your level, or you're never going to take that step up to get your kid better, he's never going to get. It's going to take him a longer time to get better. What do you think about that question?
I believe that's the case. There's a lot of coaches that like to cherry pick and keep getting their kids as get their kids wins, but they ain't getting their kids developed as much as they should. You get that through tough sparring, tough matchups is how you develop good skill, good strengths.
And I'm glad you said the tough sparring because the tough sparring can be us coaches are watching, so we know someone's getting too much of it. Well, hey, work a little bit more, a little bit less. Don't because this guy ain't ready for it. We just try to see if he's ready for it, but he's not ready for it now. So just to the guy who's a little bit more advanced, just calm down a little bit. I like what you guys do up in Nebraska. I see you guys move around the clubs and you guys bring in big sparring matches and stuff like that. I like that. We have we don't get too much sparring in Des Moines, to be honest with you. We have 7 clubs here. We have the same couple that come over, but they don't come over that often. So we're pretty much we make each other better. That's kind of how DBC was back in Davenport. We made each other better. We had so many guys. Like I keep trying to tell my kids, We had an open division team and we had a novice division team back when I grew up. So I fought three weight classes. I fought my weight class, I moved down, or I moved up. It just depended on what my grandfather needed me at for that tournament. You
Yep.
don't get that anymore because I tell these kids all the time, and you've probably seen it too because you've been around it for a while. When we went to state silver gloves up in Marshalltown, when I was 8 and 9, 10, 11 them years, there was 3 rings. You fought a morning session, you fought an evening session, and then and back then you were allowed to fight on both. You'd fight the morning, then you'd fight the evening. It just depends on who's in what brackets. Then you had to come back the next day and fight again on Sunday to win the championship. So I tell them how much harder it was back in our day to get to a national compared to these days. They have an easier road to get in the nationals for some of them, not all of them, but some of them. Because I told them even when you went to regionals, you had to win 2 or 3 times at regionals. You're not just winning one time at your silver gloves, getting a bye at regionals, and going straight to nationals. We already know how that's going to happen, how that's going to turn out with all them national kids down there from all them great regions and stuff. Was Nebraska like that back in? I want to say some late '70s, early '80s. Do you remember anything around there about silver gloves being that big?
Well, silver gloves, I didn't really get into sport till the early 90s.
Okay.
Back in the early 90s, you were just allowed to fight once a day.
Okay.
Seemed like the state tournament was a good 2, 3 day tournament. You had to win 2, 3 matches. Unlike nowadays, it's you're unopposed or you might have one fight
Yeah. And
compared
and
just
and being from Iowa and Nebraska, which Nebraska's throwing hella shows all the time compared to Iowa, which is if I'm not throwing them, there's one here or there. You know what I mean? They don't throw them as much as Nebraska does, and that's the lack of Iowa to me. And I've been saying it for a while now. The coaches start throwing shows in Iowa, not just the same guys throwing the shows. It needs to be Iowa as a whole throwing shows. Everyone should be throwing shows. That's just my opinion. I think a lot of people don't want to put all the footwork into it. They just want to go to shows to be there. That makes sense to you?
yeah, it does. A lot of people uh, putting on a show is a lot of work, but I think a lot of people that don't put on shows, they're thinking it's like a lot more work. They don't want to put in, but that ain't the case at all. The first show you put on probably going to be your most difficult show, but then you kind of see how things go, and you get better and better the more
Yeah,
shows you put on.
exactly. You learn as you go. I know that for a fact. I pretty much got it down now. The main issues is coaches confirming their weights and coming in on time, coming in on the weight they're supposed to be. Other than that, I have a pretty good event team, which is mostly family members. My son Joe, he helps me with all the bouts, the weigh-ins, and all that stuff like that. I have an admission table who's usually up there as my mom, a good friend Joe, also his girlfriend, and another son. My mom helps at the door. Then in the apparel stand, I have my 3 daughters and my wife and a friend over there. And then at the glove table, it's usually my son or a guy, a former boxer of mine named Tree James. He helps out with the glove table as well. And then usually we just bring caterers in to cater food, and whatever they make, they give us a percentage back to the club. That just helps us not have to go out and make the food, buy the food, make the food, find more volunteers to run the food, and it's worked out so much. It's worked out so good for me just to do it that way because the person that helps us, their kid boxes for us, so we're keeping it in the family type of thing. So they make the
Yep.
money, they give us money back to the club, and then we go that way. And we usually have some really nice shows. You should come down to one of them, man. You would be really impressed, man. We get a good turnout to our shows, and most of the time they're running real smooth. They start on time. I do not like being late to a start. Be on
Yeah,
time. Be on time as much as you can, because there's some you go to and they're an hour behind, hour and a half. That's just too much. That's just in my opinion. So what?
Yeah,
What?
I don't really like the late starts either. Then you go to shows, they got a late start, and then they have tons of intermissions, and the intermissions are long. I like shows getting started pretty much on time and not too many intermissions.
Yeah, not many at all. We do one intermission. I try to have between 20 and 25 bouts. 20 bouts is cool. Even if it's an 18 bouter, you can still make that into a nice bout. It just depends on the quality of bouts. If you have some really good bouts, they're not going to really recognize there's only 18 of them. They're all good bouts.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
and usually we have some really, really good bouts. We have teams coming all over from, we get some coming from Wisconsin sometime, Minnesota, Nebraska, of course, Illinois. So we had a guy come in all the way in from, bring some kids in from Ohio one time. He brought in some kids from Ohio one time. We had a kid, I remember to this day, they flew in from North Carolina. They wanted their kid to fight so bad. They flew him in from North Carolina to fight when I first started throwing shows. He got off the plane, came, weighed in, went out to eat, fought, went back to the airport and flew back home. And
Yep.
he had the fight of the night. His fight was the fight of the night. He was an open kid. He fought another Iowa open kid, and it was a good fight. One of the better ones I've seen in a while, and it was pretty cool. I thought it was that he came all the way from North Carolina to fight. That's
Yeah, that's
dedication.
always shows you're doing something right if you get clubs coming in that far
Yeah,
away.
that's dedication right there. Do you have anything on your mind that you want to talk about? Anything off the top of your head about questions to me that you have as a, like you can say as an official to a coach, what I think about things? I already told you what I thought about the age group for the 15 and 16 and 17 year. I think that by 15 should have did one more year at 15, which it didn't happen. It is what it is. We moved on from that. Whereas coach to coach, anything like that.
Yeah, well, with being an official, I've been an official, I think, about 2 years now. And I think coaches, I'm pretty sure you've been to official clinics before. I just think all coaches, even if they ain't going to be an official, they should go set in on a clinic for officials once or twice, just so they can kind of see what the officials are looking at when they're judging fights and so forth.
Exactly. I had an official on, Wayne Bailey. He's out of Kansas City, Missouri, and he explained all of that on one of my podcasts to the coaches, how you guys score everything. And I tell people all the time, coaches and parents and fans, if you don't know what they're scoring on, then put it this way: if you knew what they were scoring on, you would understand why this kid beat that kid. It's not
Yes.
like it was back when I fought. The aggressor, more punches with the white of the glove. It's not like that no more. It's totally different. I tell them all the time: go to one of these clinics, like you just said. Go to a clinic and understand what they're doing. Because this last clinic I went to, I seen a bunch of different coaches that were there, and they were doing bouts that you can judge by round on the thing. Almost every single one of them coaches had the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I was the only one that got all three right. All the other coaches like, because you guys are looking for the wrong thing. Only the only way I know this was because I couldn't understand when I got back into it back in 2017 when we started fighting. Why are these guys losing? They got to be doing something different. So I went in and I sat down at a meeting, watched the meeting. The lady was out of Minnesota, did very well. She held it very well clinic, I'm sorry. And after I left that clinic, I understood why my girl was losing all her fights. So now
Yep.
as a coach, now as a coach, you try to train all that stuff into your kids. So not only are they learning the basics and stuff, they're trying to learn all these ways of how you win. So, and I try to tell parents or fans, if you don't know, go listen, or coaches, go listen to this podcast from Wayne, and he'll explain to you everything about the scoring system.
Yep. Wayne's an extremely good official. I've been to shows that he's worked on before. Always like working with Wayne. And another one from your state is Crystal Manzo.
Yes,
She's
yes.
she's up there. She's
Yes.
a very good one to have as part of an officiating team at an event.
Yeah, she's stepped in and helped Iowa out tremendously. Wayne tries to come to as many of our shows as he can to do official or to be in the ring reference. Really cool guy. Can't remember how I stumbled upon him, but he came up and did a couple shows, and he does a good job. It's not like I'm asking him to see his cards or anything, but he just seems like he's a nice person to work with. He's just a cool guy. In the kind you want. You want officials that are like cool and outgoing and stuff like that. You can meet some. Don't get me wrong now. You can meet some officials that are stuck on themselves and are some assholes, to be honest with you. But you just gotta. It is what it is. I always say when these judges or officials are doing it, do it. It's about the kids fighting. It's not about that coach. I don't care if you like the coach or not. It's not about that gym. I don't care if you like that gym or not. And it's not just because a gym is winning all the time. Don't rob their kid, and so it doesn't look like they're winning a lot. That makes sense to you because I see that a lot, and I ask not a lot of questions, but I'd be like, look at this and tell me what you thought. Almost every single time I get what I thought, what it should have been, but I'm not the one judging. So have you ever had anyone come to you and ask you like just questions between you as a coach and an official about things, like trying to pick your brain, like
Yeah, I've had people come and ask what they thought about their fighter in a match. Why I thought he lost or won, and I give them pointers on what they need to do or what they don't need to do. And like what you said, there's some officials out there that it's kind of all about them. They got big egos, but I'd say that's a very small percentage of officials. Most of the ones I've worked with, it's all about the kids getting the right decisions judged for the most part.
yes, yes, because coaches are more than welcome to ask to see scorecards and this and that. I've done it one time in my career when the kid Cesar, he's still with me. He was 8 years old at the time, and we were at his first silver gloves. And he just, even before I even went to that official meeting to see what was going on, when everyone in the building, all the other coaches and every other judge that were down there knowing he won and to come up that he didn't win, it had something going on at the time with the, let's put it that way. But me as a coach, I stood up for what happened and asked to see the cards, and I was right about which official it was. If that makes sense. And then another one scored it. She was a newer one. She scored it the exact same as the one who I knew it was. So I'm like, that didn't make sense to me. At the same day, when we have official that's been around for a long time, he came up to me and goes like, I don't know what they seen, coach, because that was a clear win by your kid. I said, I know that. The other coach knew that. The other coach even came up to me and said, hey man, your kid won that fight, whatever. They made it happen. They we had we didn't have another kid at the next weight class up, so they let my kid go to regionals to fight the next class up because of that decision. Have you ever heard of that happen before? Because I've heard it happen before out in Missouri. Has it ever happened in Nebraska?
Very rarely, I'd say, stuff like that does happen where some of the officials are kind of mindset on there's their mind is made up that a certain gym's the better gym, so they'll look to score more for that gym instead of the opposing gym. They're thinking the better fighters are coming out of certain gyms, but you know, those top gyms in your state, they also have, beginning kids and, you know, novice kids that aren't that yes, because the gym's a great gym that produces great fighters, don't mean every fighter coming out of that gym is going to be a good or great fighter. And you
Yes,
need to judge accordingly.
you got that right. That's most definitely. I want 100% with that one. Because like I said, some days you can do very good, like a 2 day show. You can do very good one day, but the next day you don't do as well. I'm a type of coach that's going to post regardless. If we go 4-0 or we go 0-4, you get a lot of coaches that don't do that. They'll be like they're only posting if they're winning. It shouldn't be about only winning or losing. I get a lot of my people who come to shows for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, next thing you know, my email, phone, everything's burning up because they want to learn how to box. They want to come to their gym now." After seeing, you come back from a tournament and you post up your tournament stuff, and you get a lot of feedback from the community that way, even if you win or lose. One thing I see a lot of is when people post up, someone will ask another guy on Facebook, "Hey, so and so, where's the best boxing gym at in Des Moines?" And then the guy who they post will post my club's name on it. Okay. The next you know, here comes this person, here comes this person. Well, this one's better than him. This one's better than. I'm like, first of all, you just, if you know, you know. You know what I mean? I'm not that type of guy, but I think people know that we're probably one of the top gyms in Des Moines out of the seven. To be honest with you, I'm not going to be honest. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I truly believe that. We have some great fighters in our gym. We have some up and coming fighters in our gym. We have a lot of registered fighters in our gym, not just the same old ones. Like I say, boxing isn't for everybody. You know that too, Nick.
Yes.
I have a bag full of passbooks in my basement, wasting talent, or boxing just didn't pan out for them. Do you yourself have that same I won't say problem, but the same thing happened to you out there in Nebraska?
Yeah, we got a lot more fighters, come to it, have a few fights and decide it ain't for them. And then we got some fighters that really talented fighters, but they don't stick with it. They don't reach their full potential. So I think that's just pretty much across the country.
Yeah,
We all run into that.
it's a process. Yeah, other sports the kids want to do as well, which is fine. But I always tell them all the time, once you get open's open. You can fall behind them kids real quick if you're trying to play other sports, and not putting the time into the gym part of it, like coming in the spar and do the other stuff. I understand if they're playing soccer, you're doing a lot of running, that's cool. Football, you're doing a lot of running, that's cool. Matter of fact, now we're on this subject. What what sport, when a kid comes in your door and you ask them, do you play sports? What sport do you like to hear they're coming from when they come to box? I like this one right here.
Well, I like wrestlers somewhat because they're already that one-on-one mentality, and probably besides boxing, wrestling is the most well-conditioned sport. If it's another combat sport, it's always good. But team sports, if it's basketball or soccer, because there's a lot of running, back and forth in basketball and soccer. They're both fast-paced sports when they get going. Their conditioning's decently good when they come. So those are about the sports I look forward to training the fighters coming out of.
Yeah, I really like wrestlers because the discipline, they're aggressive. You just got to fix the get them up, not lean them so much. Other than that, they're hard workers. Right now, I have like about 5 girls wrestlers that are training at my gym now, because their wrestling kind of fading a little bit. So their parents are wanting them to be with me to keep them conditioned, to get them stronger, work on their footwork. So once they get to back to wrestling full time, they're going to be that much better than they was the year before when they wasn't doing it. That makes sense to you?
Yes, it
And
does.
these kids come in from miles away, like 30 minutes away. They're driving 30 minutes a day to get to our gym just to come and train, and then drive 30 minutes back home. They're from the surrounding areas. I may be Pena's Box in Des Moines, but I have them from all over the place. I should have been more like 515. That's the area code around here, something like that, because we have them from all over the place, surrounding areas, outside, Key, Norwalk. They're just all the surrounding Des Moines. So I'm not just Des Moines, I'm the whole area. And that's just because, to me, that's just because people see what I'm doing for the kids. hear the podcast, I always tell them right when they come in the door, I'm a very disciplined coach, or if I talk to them on the phone or email, very disciplined. So if you can't let me discipline your kid, you're bringing them to the wrong gym. Have you ever told your parents that at all about the way your gym runs and leave it up to them how they want to do it?
Pretty much, I like them being on time. I like them having their equipment with them. It's kind of a big part of the responsibility is their part, being on time, having the right equipment, giving their all. It's just part about being responsible, being respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Is the parents need to instill it in their kids
Exactly.
to be a big part of it.
Like I have a thing I do. My ex pro boxer gets a kick out of it. Tree James, he always posts about it every now and then. When that radio gets turned off, you might as well start walking to the ring because something's about to go down. Coaches about to say some things, and sometimes you got to stop practice to get them all together and let them know this is what we're doing here. This is our goal. This is what everyone's goal is. We're not here. It's not an after school program. We're not here to be chit chatting during rounds and stuff like that. They got to understand that. They got to learn that. The parents hear everything I'm telling them, so that way when they know I'm getting on them, they know there's something that they're doing wrong as kids. And I always tell them all the time, when you walk through them doors, you are not at home and you're not at school. Because I know what happens at most homes. I know what happens at most schools. When you're in here, you're going to get disciplined. We're a structured place. We're not going to have anyone in here throwing other kids off their routine of training, or you won't. Or the doors right there. You can leave. There's more gyms out there. A lot of parents love hearing that stuff because some of them that come in there, they don't have. They're between homes. Might be a single mom, or I like to find that kind of stuff out ahead of time so I know which kid I want to try to even help out a little bit, just a little bit more as a man being part of their life. You know what I mean? Because you get them
Yes.
that to me when they come up to me, they're supposed to when they're ready to leave, they're supposed to come to me, and we have this little handshake we do, little stab and fist bump. And that's right there saying, "Hey, thank you, coach," and they leave. Not all of them do it, but most of them do it. A lot of them don't know. So, hey, come here real quick. This is what we do. Next you know, here they come. Next you know, they're all doing it. They're all lining up. Okay, youth group's done. They all start lining up. Boom, 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 boom. There they go. Next you know, the parents are trying to do it. Because we're all together as a one when they're working out and training. And that's how you become a better gym, is being all in one, not this guy's over here, this guy's over there. Because there are only a couple coaches in there, and we only could do so much. In our youth group, we have at least 30 to 40 kids on a day where they all decide to come. And we can't work with every kid. And we still have our registered kids to work too. I have a system I tell the parents because they don't come every day. Some come 2 days a week, some come three, and the ones that compete have to come 4 to 5 days a week. So we're not open every Friday. We are open most Fridays, but not all. So if you're going to start competing or getting ready to start sparring, you're considered a competition fighter. Then you need to pay the more fee because you're in there longer. That's before you can even get in there and start sparring and doing all that stuff. Because then you got to get them, you got to get them registered because you're not going to get in there and spar and something you get like a something cut your eye or something. You know what I mean? You need to be able to have yourself covered so you don't get to hit nobody until you're registered. You can come in and work out because not all of them stick around. Like they come in
Yeah.
a week, 2 weeks, then they're gone. They'll pay their fee and then they'll be gone because it got too hard for them. I'm not going to make you. I'm not going to make you sign up to USA Boxing. You're going to be gone in 2 weeks. And once you start showing me your 4 to 5 days a week, you're going to start hitting the bags and stuff. Then we'll get going. I have my own little waiver off to the side that you have to sign a waiver, all this stuff before you can come into the gym and work out. But I'm not a believer in having someone get registered and they're there for 2 weeks. Now they don't waste it $90 or whatever, 80, $90 to get registered, and then their gym fee on top of that. Now they're gone after 2 weeks. I don't believe in all that. To me, I think once you get to the stage where they're starting to hit each other, that's when you need to be registered. That's just my opinion because, like I said, we're nonprofit. I know I'm a nonprofit. I don't know about you, but we don't get paid to be there. You know what I mean? So why am I going to fill pocket? This is just me talking as a coach. Why should I sit there and fill USA boxing up on bag full of passbooks every time you come in? Every time they come in. Now we're getting some kind of feedback off all that. I wouldn't mind doing that. Do they feedback off that? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think the only one is if you get like a fitness membership through USA Boxing, which they can come work out at your gym, but it's no sparring. It's like $25 for that fitness membership, and USA Boxing will kick $5 back to you per membership. But of the competition fighters, I believe they don't kick none of that back to you.
I think
I've never seen
I
it
think that
anyways.
if I remember correctly, I think once they get competition, I think they kick the LBC some, don't they? Because I know Iowa, as a person hosting the show, they help me out with at least one sanction a year through the treasurer. So the LBC might get something out of it. I'm not 100% sure, but
Oh, they might. I'd
they
have to
got to get
check
it
into
somewhere.
that.
They got to get that money somewhere. They're not going to give free money out. So it got to be coming in summer. So maybe that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but that one you just said, that's pretty interesting to me because, like I say, I get a lot of them come and go. $5, $5 to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, it is.
So, um, I'm not checking on that one. It's interesting.
I really believe though, the fighters that get registered to compete, that money, some of it should come back to the gym because instead of the LBC, it probably does somewhat of the percentage comes back to the LBC, but you know, there's some gyms like your gym or my gym that are the driving forces in their LBC that are getting the fighters registered, getting the fighters to the ring. Other gyms are doing next to nothing and don't ever have any fighters. Those gyms, they shouldn't be getting the benefits that the driving forces gyms are.
Exactly. Yep.
There's gyms here in Nebraska that get the most fighters to the ring to compete, and the fighters are doing good. Like there's OG and Hastings, or OG Hastings out of Hastings, Nebraska. Young Inspirations, a bunch of Omaha clubs. Those gyms should be benefiting a lot more from it than these gyms that you know don't even have a fighter compete during the year.
It's yeah. I can see that. I can see that as for sure. Here's one more question. Let's talk about. I think about 10 minutes ago was we were 30 minutes into it. So, I get this question asked me a lot about boxing versus MMA, the stand-up game, the striking. What is your opinion on that? As
Well,
a let's talk. I'm not talking about amateurs. Let's talk about as in the pro. I know we're an amateur podcast, but as a pro setting type of thing of the striking. What do you see that's different from UFC MMA to like a professional Golden Boy or someone like that, professional boxer, elite?
the best MMA strikers, if it was just stand up striking, can't really hold a candle to the best boxers.
I just told Raymond that before we sat down here that they could be the best professional MMA striker would have a problem with an average middle elite professional boxer in the stand up if it was only with stand up because it's different because you get a lot of the MMA guys to me they don't set nothing up like hand wise. I'm not talking about kick a leg, then come with the strike. I'm talking about ending everything up here, setting things up, low, boom, boom, setting it up. You don't really see that often. And then when you
No, you
do,
don't.
they're in there trying to bang so much. Their hands are down. They're always off balance, or they get hit with something that I know there's smaller gloves and all, but you just like if your stand up was so much better with the head movement, catching stuff, you could set yourself up for so much more stuff against somebody who doesn't have that knowledge of striking and getting their stuff back up. See what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, I do.
So when they I always say about well, this guy beat this guy. Okay, let's take the UFC, the grappling, and the wrestling all out of it, and to put like the best MMA striker, UFC striker against, in kind of like a how they're doing with Jake Paul. They're trying to fight somebody. You know what I mean? To see if your boxing's good. You know what I mean? If that boxing is legit. Okay, I know he fought Mike, but that was all money, man. Mike was just making money. He wasn't trying to hurt no Jake. Just to be honest
Yeah.
with you. So you got this guy fighting this guy, and we got to remember these professional boxers can go 12 rounds. The highest rounds you go in MMA is 5. That's a big difference.
Yes, it's a big
So
difference.
this boxer's gonna move around this MMA guy for a couple rounds, looking for his stuff, setting stuff up, seeing his positioning, where he needs to do this, when he needs to do that, and then when he sees his time come, then he's gonna go do it. I'm not talking about this bull crap that just happened with these cards that just happened and they had ran around the ring. I'm not, they wasn't trying to fight. I'm talking about, let me say, old school, them old school guys. Let's talk about them guys against like a newer, legit MMA striker. I'm not talking about Haney or freaking the ones who ran around the ring and shot that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about
Talk,
like the four
talking
like the
about
four
like
kings.
A Marvin Hagler or
Yeah,
a
the four
Sugar.
kings. Any of them four kings.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, that's what they always talk about. Not even the MMA part. They always talking about wow, boxing now until back. No, these guys now couldn't hold a candle to the four kings area back then. They all fought each other. They were like I was telling Raymond, I said there were even guys who were just journeymen or guys who were coming up or who were badass. Wilfred Benitez. A lot of people probably have never heard of his name before. But Wilfred was a freaking beast. Marlon Starling, people probably never heard of him. He was a beast. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
never champions. They were fighters back then that were badass fighters, but were never champions, right?
Yeah. There was contenders back in the day and journeymen back in the
Contenders,
day.
journey, and they were all good. You sit there like I was out here waiting to get in here, and he had a bunch of old school fights going on out here. I'm like, you just sat there and watched him just box. And it was just boom, 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 boom. They wasn't like running and stuff. I'm like, and that's the stuff I like to watch right there. But yeah, just I don't really, like I said, when people bring it up, I don't like, my opinion is my opinion, their opinion is their opinion. I don't like to get in on social media going back and forth with anybody. You'll never see that come from me. I'll say what I need to say, strict to the point, and keep it at that, because that's just my opinion. Because everyone has opinions. They all have choices, and everyone has opinions. And that's my opinion. Just because I have an opinion, I mean it's better in your opinion. We can have two different opinions. That don't mean just because I'm saying it that my opinion is better than yours, right? That's what I try to
Yes.
tell people. That's what I try to explain to the kids all the time. Like making choices. I talk to kids more about the choices than the opinions, because I tell them if you're making the right choices, you will not have people saying opinions about you. If you're making right choices, opinions come in when people are trying to debate on stuff. If you're doing the right stuff as a kid, making the right choices, they're like, yeah, my kid needs to be more like that kid.
Yes. Absolutely.
I tell my kids all the time, don't be getting into it with people over social media. Don't be thinking you're better than you are over social media, because coach knows, you know. The worst thing you can do as an amateur boxer is say that someone, to be honest with you, 100, that this boxer sucks or that boxer sucks. You're an amateur boxer. He's a professional boxer, so he did something along the way to be professional, and a good professional, but he's just getting beat. Now, don't get me wrong. We both know any people can walk off the street and be a freaking professional boxer. That's the one thing I do not like about that. Only way you should be able to become a professional boxer if you had some kind of boxing background. Because
Yeah, that should be.
we know there's some guys that get snuck in there who don't know how to freaking fight, and they're in their local shows getting beat up for no damn reason. Now the crowd is like, what the hell did I just watch? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I know what you're saying. I think they should put something with the state athletic commissions where to get a license you should have at least 4 wins in the amateurs, and that ain't even that much.
Yeah,
But
kind of like
four
the
win,
Open. Yeah, the Open. You have to have so many fights to be open.
yeah. But if like you had 4 wins in the amateurs, that would be worlds ahead of where a lot of these opponents are bringing into these pro shows.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, exactly. Because you can have 10 fights and not win none of them, but at least you won four.
Yeah,
So
you,
now
you
you're
got
four
that
and 10.
experience.
Yeah, so now you're 4 and 10. Now you got the experience. Exactly. That is exactly what they need to do. Because now that they're doing when you can move on like the amateurs. Oh, you only if you have 7 or 8 fights, it's fine, or it's up to your coach or your LBC if they can move it. Keep it at 10. Keep it at 10. They
Yeah,
have to have 10 fights or to be open. They shouldn't go to an open tournament only having 4 or 5 fights.
10 fights is a good number. I believe they should stick with that.
Yeah, even though we went to nationals this year, I had 3 kids that were littler weights, little bit 8, 9 year olds, 60, 65, 60, 65, and 70. They were all just getting started off. But they were in the gym for a little bit, you know what I mean? So I knew they can hold their own. That's why I let them to enter it. And they both did well. They all went, the 3 won their first fight at nationals, which I thought was really, really cool. And then one happened to get sick in the semis, so he couldn't fight, and the other 2 got beat in the semis. But they learned a lot. They learned a lot by just that trip down to national. They learned how they had to keep the weight down. They got to see all these different fighters from different areas of the country. One kid got to fight against a number 1 ranked kid, and he held his own. You know what I mean? The stuff like that to give him. I know I can do this. Just got to work out hard and
Yes.
do it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm coming back to with the show bouts. If you're not a coach and you're trying to step up and fight other fighters that are that are better than your kids, you never them kids it's gonna take them a longer time to get better. So
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
yeah, other than that, man, yeah, just that's about all I have. But if you have some more stuff, we can talk about whatever. To be honest with you,
Oh, I'm pretty good. I like what you're doing over in Iowa and stuff.
yeah, I
And
appreciate it, man.
how far does your family go back for generations that's been involved with the sport?
My grandfather opened the Pena's Davenport Boxing Club in 1968. 1968. It's still going. My uncle runs the one back in Davenport, and I
And
run out.
your grandfather was Alvino.
Alvino, yep, that's my grandfather. Yep, I'm the oldest
I
grandson.
Yep. I've heard quite a great few stories about him. So
Yeah, yep. He coached. I want to say he was part of the USA boxing team coaches before. Yeah, he was around for a while. Doing the coach and stuff. So I really didn't know I wanted to coach until he passed away. And then I got like, you know what? My son's getting into a position where I can't coach him anymore because he's getting into the high school level. So let's let them guys grow him, and I'll go coach boxing. First, I started
so
doing MMA. I started doing MMA first, and I'm like, you know what? I need boxing. I can't do the MMA. I'm a boxer. So then that's when I
yes.
went and got with Southeast Des Moines, Jerry Holman. I got with him, and then I told him my first start. I said, "Hey, man, I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I want to see if I want to be a coach." He goes, "Hey, you just coach, and then when you're ready to go, I understand." And then when that time came, I told him I got to do my own thing. He said, "Good luck, and I got you. I support you, and this and that." And then went from there. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Hour, man. Them hours go pretty quick when you sit here chopping stuff up. But for this to be thrown in the last second for me and you to link up like this, I thought we did pretty good
Yep.
talking
Pretty
about
good.
different things and stuff. I hope all you podcasters out there follow us. I didn't do the coaches corner today. Usually the coaches corner is when I get asked people question if they send me questions, and I do like a little 10-minute thing on a coaches corner where I, as a coach, is like answering people's questions and giving them shout outs for following us and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty cool thing. I was talking to Raymond about it, and I want to start getting in here at least once a week. Not once a week. I don't have time for that. At least once a month and keep this rolling. Sometimes if we have to book twice a month, do whatever. I'm just trying to get us out there, get amateur boxing higher than what it was. My goal was when I first started in 2017 is to bring boxing back to Des Moines because I was here from 2001 to 2015 and didn't hear nothing about amateur boxing around here. I didn't even know it was here still until I stumbled across it, and after I'm like, okay, then I started looking into it more. But
Yeah.
I really wasn't worried about it because I was too invested in my son doing his coaching. I really didn't care. So yeah, let's go from let's stop here for now, and I appreciate Raymond Rhodes, man. You got stuff set up pretty good here, man.
Hey, man,
I
thank you.
like what
Thank you.
you're
I
doing with
appreciate
this.
it. I'm
And
glad I got
if
to
I can
listen
get
to that.
if I can get other people in here for you, even if it's different things, you know what I mean. I can get them in here and get some slots filled up for you. But
Yeah, and I would love to bring a camera to some of these shows because I do love combat sports.
yes, you're welcome to my next show. I'm not sure I'm going to have it yet. I'm look because there's a lot of tournaments coming up. I think it might not be until September, maybe early
All
September,
right.
because we have like Buffalo Bills coming up. We might go to Rivals the week before that. That's in Oklahoma. Then I have of course, my family vacation in July. So I got a lot of stuff coming up. Plus, I got the softball things I do with the girls from Southeast Polk. Shout out to them guys just to get that win today. It'll probably be September, but yeah, you're more than welcome to come out there and do what you got to do out there.
No, it'd be fun. And
And
as we wrap this up, make sure you guys both stay on just for a minute or two afterwards. And also the gyms, tell people again, you can't never tell people enough times about what you got going on when you're as tenured as you guys are in your field. So remind everybody where they can find you.
go ahead, Nick.
All right. They can find me at the Sweatbox Boxing Club. We got Facebook page that you can message for info on that. The next couple shows we're working on is the one we mentioned, the Buffalo Bill Brawl, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm also kind of putting together a quick little show with the Sioux City clubs. We're working on one for June 6th. It's a Friday evening show. The link should be getting put up on USA Boxing real soon for that one. And the two clubs I'm working with on that one is One Combat out of Sioux City and Siouxland out of Sioux City.
Okay, yep. You can reach my club at Pena's Boxing Des Moines.com, our Facebook page, Pena's Boxing Des Moines, or you can reach through me, Pepe Pena, Instagram, and you got so many stuff. I can't remember my Instagram one, but the main one is the website, penasboxing.com. Penasboxing.com. You can reach us there. All of our information's on there, our history, old podcasts. If you want to listen to them, they're on there as well. We're located at 5918 Southeast 14th Street, down the south side of Des Moines. We're right across from Culver's, and next to Coin Laundry. Other than that, we want to give a shout out to everyone who's listening, supporters. I want to thank Nick for being on today. I want to thank Raymond for letting me in here to do my podcast. We're going to be back for plenty of more. This is the realest amateur boxing podcast with Coach Pena. We out of here.